gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good morning, CaneSport. It's November the 8th, 2022. I'm Gary Furman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, joined today by Azubi Charles as we discuss the news of the day presented by LifeWallet, where the time is now to take charge of your personal health. And Azubi, I'm going to come clean at the start of the show. Okay, we normally tape this show at like about 5 a.m., but I got Azubi to get up at 4 a.m. today so that he and I can knock this thing out before Matt even wakes up. And Matt's going to wake up at 5. Azubi and I are going to already be back to sleep. And Matt's going to be like, what the heck's going on? Where is everybody? And the show's already going to be on the website. So this is our little secret, since it's early. So Azubi, let's get right to it. Basketball season, baby, started yesterday, and we did the doubleheader and checked out both games. And let's start with the men. I mean, what a crazy game that was, man. Lafayette's raining in 3-pointers the whole game. Miami couldn't buy a shot in the first half. Just missed so many point blank shots. Norcat Omer was an absolute beast on the boards. I think he had 10 rebounds at halftime, but he couldn't get the ball to go in the basket on the putbacks. And Miami's in a life or death battle with Lafayette going into intermission. But I thought they really stepped up their game in the second half. Lafayette still was able to hit some shots, Zuby. But I thought the Miami defense really took it to another level in the second half, when they had their backs against the wall and they had to deliver. And I thought all in all, for a season opener against a team that when you look at the schedule, you're thinking it's going to be a big victory. I thought Miami got some good stuff out of it.
Yeah, I feel like early on having a game like this where it's a real gritty one, you have to really grind it out. Your first game is great for a team like Miami with that really, heavy ACC schedule. What really caught my eye was that first kind of 2 or 3 possessions with Miami. Isaiah Wong gets a big block, pushes the ball up court, and Nigel Pack hits a big 3 that really got their crowd into it. But like you said, early on, the Kane shots weren't really falling in that first half, shooting 29% from the field. So it was kind of, a slow start for them, but their defense really kept them in the game, 30-29 at the half in favor of Lafayette. Miami comes out with a big 10-0 run to start the second half. So, really good on their part. Isaiah Wong with a big dunk gets the crowd into it. And then from there on, back and forth, Lafayette, comes back a little bit, 43-43, but the Hurricanes really put it away down the stretch, winning that game by double digits.
Now, one thing that did enter my mind watching the game is I thought they were too reliant on 3-point shots, just settling way too often for long-range jumpers. And I think that, that did at times contribute to their shooting percentages. They finished the game 10 of 34 from 3-pointers. And, 34 to me out of their 58 field goal attempts seems like a lot. I got to think that Jim Larinaga is going to want to change that a little bit as the season goes forward. And, but Nigel Pack, who's their sharpshooter, he's a 40% 3-point shooter. He was 4 of 10, which is 40%, right on his average. But Isaiah Wong was only 3 of 9. It looks like he's been working hard on his shot. He wants to show the NBA scouts that he can do it. So, he's shooting the 3 probably a little bit more often than we've seen in the past. But, Anthony Walker 0 for 3, Bensley Joseph 0 for 3, and Norchad 0 for 1. That's 0 for 7 there by those 3 guys. I'm not sure I want those 3 guys shooting a lot of threes. But what were your thoughts, Azubi? I thought they were just settling for too many threes.
Yeah, Larinaga pretty much gave those guys a green light that night. He said really what the Leopards were doing, really packing the paint. So it kind of forced Miami to really stretch the court out and shoot those threes. Obviously, they weren't falling tonight. I don't think that's going to be the case for the remainder of the season. But what Larinaga said the Leopards did was really, slow the game down, not in Miami's favor. He really said Miami loves pushing the ball up court. getting their guys on fast breaks, easy points, and transitions. But what Lafayette did was really slow the game down and make Miami earn those points rather than easy fast break dunks, layups, and things like that. So he really praised the Leopards' game plan of kind of getting Miami out of their game and their rhythm, forcing them to shoot that three ball much more than they wanted to.
All right, so it is kind of crazy. We're sitting here breaking down a game against Lafayette. I mean, have you ever heard of Lafayette, Azubi? I have not.
Oh yeah, that was my first introduction to the Leopards last night. It was a pretty good one.
I don't know where they found these guys, but they could play a little bit. And man, they played hard. And the thing about these small schools in basketball is they really don't need a lot of players to be decent, and they tend to find shooters. Some of these teams, and uh, you know, these guys knocked down, I believe, it was as many threes as Miami did. So yeah, I mean they were also 10 of 34 from three. So at the end of the day, Miami wins by 13, 67-54. And we're sitting here now, Azubi, saying, all right, that was a nice season opener. Let's move on to UNC Greensboro on Friday.
For sure, yeah, I'm really excited to see that game. See what the Hurricanes can follow up this performance with. Obviously, not the way they wanted to start the season, but a win is a win. You still get away with a double-digit win. And what Coach Legan was saying was he really wants to see the fans come out again because the Category 5 student section and the fans really packed the house yesterday night. So he was really happy to see them and invited them back to Friday to bring that same energy to get the
They had
season
a
going.
nice student crowd there. They filled almost like two ends of the court with students. I'm very impressed. I don't know who was in charge of marketing to the students for this game, but keep it up. It really makes a nice atmosphere in the arena for these games, and makes it more fun for the people that are going. And the students showed up, no doubt about it, which was a little unusual considering the opponent. So that was a cool thing. So we have complete coverage of that season opening basketball game. Our super intern Cal Friedman also does his 5 takeaways from the game. So we've got both of those things. And then we've also got some information for you guys on the women's basketball season opener. We didn't go gangbusters on it because, quite frankly, it was a blowout game that wasn't really all that interesting. And we were really mostly covering the debut in a Miami uniform of the Cavender twins. And Azubi, I didn't think they got enough shots, man. Like I wanted to see, those girls are like, you could see they are knockdown shooters. And I thought that a lot of the action was being forced in the paint in that game, where they could have kicked it out to the Twins and gotten some easy 3-point buckets. So I think the women got to work on sharing the basketball a little bit, even though they won. They way overmatched Maryland Eastern Shore. But they could be a good team, but I think they got to work on sharing the basketball a little bit more. What were your thoughts on the women's game?
Yeah, it was a great game, honestly. I mean, when I heard Maryland Eastern Shore, I was kind of confused on where they came from, what school is that. But the Canes women's team got off to a quick start. Haley hit a quick three to get the ball rolling for them, and then from there on, what the biggest thing was with Coach Anthony, who was stepping in for Coach Meyer. His thing was just trying to get everybody a lot of playing time that game. I believe over 6 or 7 players played 15 minutes, so a lot of new girls touching the ball, a lot of getting the feel for the season. So kind of just feeling the team out in the opening season versus a much lesser opponent. But I think a really good opening game for the girls.
Yeah. So, hey, I mean, there's a reason to be interested in women's basketball now for everybody. I mean, listen, football season was taken away from everybody. Embrace basketball. Basketball at the U is fun this year. The men have a good team, an exciting team to watch, and so do the women. And they'll be on TV some. It's a little harder to see the women's games than it is the men's games. But I can tell you, if you live locally, there's a lot of seats for the women's games. There are not many people there. You could come in and you could pretty much sit wherever you want. And, it's a fun, relaxing couple hours. They play really hard. They got a few pretty good players. So I encourage you guys, enjoy Canes basketball this year, and maybe it'll make up a little bit for the sour feeling of football. All right, Zuby, let's talk a little bit about football, man. Obviously, they're trying to pick up the pieces, and it's not great, man. I mean, kids are already starting to look towards the transfer portal. There's, horrible looking stuff in some cases going on on social media, and if you're the coaches, you're trying to rally the troops and go beat Georgia Tech and get to a bowl game. To not finish at least 500 is embarrassing. And they're going to, the coaches are going to finish this thing out with those kids that want to cooperate and take the coaching and try to go win these games. So we had the press conferences yesterday. All those reports are on the website. We're not sure who the quarterback's going to be. Mario, said it's pretty much open. They're evaluating Tyler Van Dyke to see if he can go. If not, Jake Garcia and Ja'Cory Brown will be getting all the work in practice. My guess is what we would end up seeing both of them in the game. But Azubi, you played football. You understand the mindset of the football player and the athlete. Can these guys, after that just absolutely devastating experience at Hard Rock Stadium on Saturday night, can they pull it together and muster up any kind of desire at all to go beat Georgia Tech up in Atlanta on Saturday?
I believe so. I think you take these 3 last games of the season to really find out who cares about this program and who wants to be in this program next year. So with all the transfer portal news coming out, guys, liking tweets of other teams, guys deleting pictures of the team off their social media, things like that. I think you toss all that out the window. You say, hey, whoever wants to be a part of this program, these next 3 games is your shot to show that you deserve to be a Miami Hurricane. It's more of a privilege than, hey, I just want to be this and that in the program. No, come show me you want to be part of this program next year. I know this isn't the best, season we've had. No one expected this, but to show me you want to be here in these next 3 games is a perfect opportunity for players to do that. And I think they will, honestly. I feel like you'll see guys that want to be a part of this program step up in these next 3 games. Georgia Tech being, what seemed to be a favorable matchup, not as much now, but a team like Georgia Tech, you really can come in and, hey, prove your point. Guys like Ja'Cory Brown, younger guys in the receiver room, Jacoby George can really come up and do things. I want to see the younger guys or the guys that want to be there really show up in these next few games.
Yeah, because let's be honest, there's a lot of guys going to be in the portal, and there's going to be a lot of guys that want to be in the portal. They're going to race to the portal the minute the portal opens up. There's going to be guys that maybe, were on the fence that are going to be asked to go to the portal. And then there's going to be guys that are going to be sent to the portal because the coaches weren't happy with their personal investments in this football season. And it's going to be crazy. I mean, it's going to be a little sad at times, but it's something that they have to do because they're not going to be able to take a forward step as a program without going through this roster turnover. I mean, that's very obvious. And, I spoke to some sources, Azubi, and they told me that when Florida State was preparing for this game against Miami and they evaluated Miami, and I like to do this. I like to work the different channels I have and get this information because, we watch the team and we're so comfortable watching the team. It's nice to hear what somebody else thinks sometimes. And I heard that Florida State looked at Miami like they were Florida State 3 years ago when Florida State was going through a rebuilding. And they came to Hard Rock Stadium expecting to win that game the way they did. Pretty interesting.
Yeah, if I'm a player hearing that just adds more fuel to the fire for next year, honestly. Kind of seeing how they were disrespecting the U, breaking the U, things like that. If I'm on this team next year, I'm bookmarking those little videos, those clips of doing that and just keeping those in the memories for next year where we'll match up against those guys. But honestly, hearing that, like I said, fuel to the fire for the coaching staff, for the players and everyone a part of that program to say, hey, let's not let this happen ever again. And just move forward and continue to build what we have the vision on.
Did you see the picture of the FSU strength coaches posing in Hard Rock Stadium with their muscles out like we just kicked their butt? Let me tell you something. If I'm Mario Cristobal, I'm blowing that thing up, and it is on the wall in the weight room. So that every day when those players walk in the weight room to go work out, they're watching that your biggest rival, their strength coaches were sort of what's the word I'm looking for? Showboating the fact that they kicked your butt in your home stadium.
Yeah, I saw that picture on the field, kind of in the rain too. Just I think it was 5 or 6 of them just flexing. I was like, oh man, what's going on? But like I said, as a player, as a coach, like you said, blow that picture up, slap it in the room every day. You see that, that's your motivation. That's your why when you get up in the morning to go 110% and come back next year and turn the tide.
All right, we got some other stories to talk about this morning, but first, let's hear from our friends at Life Wallet.
We here at Life Wallet take security very seriously. Our data security team is working constantly to make sure that your data is not accessed by anybody who you don't authorize.
Hey, what's up, man?
Yeah, I'm
Excuse me, sir. Thank you.
I have from CC, and he's thinking about it, and I'll be talking to CC, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.
We use leading technology standards like biometric data to make sure that only you have access to your data and your identity is protected. LifeWallet gives you access to your entire medical history and information at the touch of your finger, so that it can save you time and can save your life.
Data transfer complete.
All right, Azubi. So other stories that we have on the website today. We've talked a lot about your recent trip to IMG Academy. And one of the many things that you did on that trip is you spent some time with the 5-star offensive tackle, Francis Maigoa, and you did one of your 100-yard walk features with Francis, and I thought it was really cool. You talked about his Samoan roots, who he wants to see join the 2023 class, his message to Miami fans, and more. What were your final impressions from your 100-yard walk with Francis Maigoa?
With talking with Francis, like I said, if there's one guy I've spoken to throughout this cycle who I think is ready to come in and make an instant impact in Miami, it's Francis. Obviously, his play on the field speaks for itself, but off the field, he's just an awesome kid. Talking about how important it is for him to show the country or show the world how awesome Samoans are, what they can do on the national stage. We talked about how Dwayne the Rock Johnson tweeted at him when he committed to Miami, how awesome that was. Talked about how he stays in contact with his brothers back in Samoa, playing video games, this all sort of things. He's just a really cool, awesome, down to earth kid, and I feel like he's going to be very, very successful on the field at Miami because of the things he does off the field.
I'm really impressed with the character of all these 2023 recruits, man. I mean, they're very impressive, like nice kids. You could tell they're high character kids and they're good football players. And this is how you build the program back, with kids that are, high character, that are bought into what you're trying to do. And you get them to bond. Like, these guys are really bonding with each other before they even come in the door. And I mean, I like what I'm seeing, man. It's like I haven't liked one bit of the season, obviously, and I don't think anybody has. But when I see what's going on behind the scenes, when I see what's going on in recruiting, the infrastructure that's being established, the NIL program at Miami, which is second to none right now, there's a lot to like that isn't in everybody's face every single day, Azubi. And it's like we can kind of see what this thing could look like a couple years down the road, with 30, potentially like maybe 30 guys going in the portal, and them bringing 35, 40 new kids onto this team next year. That's almost a half a team, folks. And that's how it is in today's world. You can turn over your team very, very quickly, using the vehicles that are available to you. And the 25 limit is out right now. So really, their only limitation in recruiting this year is going to be how many spots they have. So it's going to be a sharp pencil, man, in terms of who makes the cut, who doesn't make the cut. But I know, Zuby, you've been out there a lot, and I imagine that your impressions of these guys and just the way Miami is going about recruiting, I mean, there's nothing to poke holes in. I mean, it's pretty impressive.
Like you mentioned, yeah, very high character guys. And you also said behind the scenes, you don't really see what's really going on, but you can always read about how I'm bought in, I'm all in. But once you actually talk to these guys one-on-one, you really can tell that they're really behind Cristobal and what he's trying to build in Miami. pretty much all these guys have been in contact with Cristobal since they're 8th or ninth graders, and it's been consistent contact, a consistent message of, hey, you're going to come to my program. I'm going to develop you, whether it's at Oregon, whether it's in Miami. These kids are all bought into Mario Cristobal and believe what he can do with them and do with the program. And even the kids that aren't committed, I was talking to Tayshawn Lyons from California, the wide receiver. He was just telling me about, I believe in Coach Cristobal. I've only known him for a short time, but what he says, I really believe in him. I know Miami's not at their best right now, but in 2 or 3 years, I believe he's going to bring this program to the heights it used to be at, and that's pretty much the consensus between all the kids that are committed and uncommitted. So it's really good to see that and hear that from the guys that are coming in for the future of Miami.
All right, and then the other story we must talk about is Damari Brown and our report on his official visit weekend and just where he is in the process. And Azubi, the thing that's like really interesting is you look at Ruben Bain, you look at the Damari Brown, these legacy or close to legacy recruits are really making Miami work, man. And I'm starting to get a bad feeling about Ruben Bain. I don't know, man. I'm seeing his flirtation with Florida State and with Alabama, and look, Uncle Tolbert, he's a Cane through and through, but he also is pretty close with Randy Shannon, who's on FSU's coaching staff, and I don't know, man. It's like this has been strung along for so long with these two guys, but what do you think? What were your impressions of where Damari Brown is now in the process? I did a recruiting prediction machine forecast for him last week to go to Miami because I've been hearing a lot of Miami's doing very well here. Do you still feel that's the case? Was it damaged by the performance against Florida State?
I feel like Miami's still in a good position to land Brown, but like you mentioned, I feel like that big loss at home kind of put some a little bit of doubt in where he's at. I wouldn't say, it's completely out the window that he's going to Miami now. But when I asked him, hey, do you believe in everything still? He's like, I still do, but somewhat. But I just want to see a program win. And when you're losing to a team, obviously Florida State made that top four with Damari Brown along with Miami, Clemson, Alabama. So seeing a team that's, recruiting you just as hard as another lose 45-3, that's pretty hard to say, hey, we're doing something with this and things like that. You just seen that in person as well. So with Brown, I feel like he's holding out a little bit, waiting to see how things go. But it'll be a tighter race than a lot of people think when it comes to the finish line. So it'll be interesting to see when we get there.
I'm sticking with my recruiting prediction machine pick. I still think he ends up at Miami, but I think it's going to take some more hard work by Mario Cristobal and the staff just to keep selling the vision for the future and what they're getting done and what their plan is right now. It is a good plan. Okay, we are going to have a lot of roster turnover. We are going to have a massive recruiting class. You and these other guys are going to be the foundation for the next 3-4 years of our program, where we are going to turn this thing around and we are going to be playing for championships while you're at Miami. That's the sales pitch. And the guys that buy into it will be there. The guys that don't won't. And Miami will be active in the transfer portal with whatever spots they have left after they go through traditional recruiting. So it's going to be interesting to watch. We'll be busy all along the way and keep you guys up to date with what's going on. So Zuby, we're going to get this thing posted on the site, and I guess we might as well go back to sleep for a couple hours maybe and catch a little and then it's been team no sleep, man. We were at the game late last night. We had to get up early here so that we could get this show done for you guys, and certainly before Matt Shodell wakes up. And so Zuby and I are going back to sleep. It'll be interesting to see how Matt reacts when there's nobody to tape Good Morning CaneSport with, because the show's already been taped. So that's going to be a cool part of Azubi and my day today for sure. And we'll have some more stuff for you later today. We'll be talking to some of the players and stuff and see what's going on there. And we'll be mining for any breaking news on all of these different fronts. So for the great Azubi Charles, I'm Gary Furman. Thank you so much for joining us today and starting your day with us. Hit your subscribe button, hit your like button. Make sure you're a subscriber to CaneSport.com. It all allows us to do what we do for you guys every single day. Have a great day, everybody.